If you're a die-hard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. There was a time during the offseason when the image of Myles Garrett calmly addressing the media on the first day of Cleveland Browns training camp seemed like pure fantasy. Just months ago, the 2023 Defensive Player of the Year appeared to be at the brink of a dramatic split from the franchise he once led with such pride. His appearances at Radio Row during Super Bowl week were filled with thinly veiled frustration and direct shots at the Browns' direction, or lack thereof. It wasn't just about wanting out, it was about demanding better. Garrett made it clear he didn't see the Browns as a contender, and to a player of his caliber, the idea of wasting his prime years on a franchise stuck in neutral was simply unacceptable. He wanted to play in meaningful games under the brightest lights, and when the Browns couldn't offer that, he felt it was time to move on. It felt final. Until it wasn't. The situation turned dramatically just before the start of the new league year in March. With surprising speed and seemingly out of nowhere, Garrett reversed course. Instead of forcing his way out, he signed on the dotted line, agreeing to a 4-year, $160 million contract extension that made him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. The narrative changed overnight. What once seemed like a breakup in progress became a renewed partnership built on staggering money and apparently a refreshed sense of belief. And so, on the first day of training camp at the cross-country mortgage campus, Garrett stood behind that lectern not as an enemy of the organization but as its standard-bearer. His words were measured but impactful. He wasn't just back physically, he was all in mentally, emotionally, and competitively. And that's when he dropped the line that sent a jolt through the NFL world. "I expect to get to the Super Bowl." Those words didn't just serve as an aspirational quote, they were a statement of intent. Garrett wasn't simply showing up for another year of sacks and stats. He was demanding a transformation, a leap that few around the league believed the Browns are ready to take. But in Garrett's mind, the expectations couldn't be higher. It wasn't just about a return to form for himself or a modest improvement on last year's disaster. It was about turning the entire narrative around. For Garrett, this wasn't a rebuild, it was a resurrection. He spoke not only about the team making the Super Bowl, but about defending his DPOY crown. That's the standard he's setting for himself and for everyone around him. If the Browns are going to go anywhere in 2025, it's clear it starts and ends with Myles Garrett. Garrett's commitment to greatness has never been in question. What's new is how vocal he's become about it, even in his most turbulent moments. He never lacked ambition, but now there's an urgency in his tone that wasn't there before. Perhaps it's the growing awareness that time is no longer on his side. At 29, with 8 seasons under his belt and his body battered by trench warfare, Garrett understands that every year matters. Every wasted opportunity is a step further from legacy-defining greatness. That's why this season feels so critical to him. He's no longer content being a highlight machine on a middling team. He wants banners, he wants rings, and he wants accountability from himself, from his teammates, from the coaching staff. He knows the team will follow his lead, and he's embracing that weight like never before. This is Garrett's team now in every conceivable way. The impact of his leadership was already felt the moment he stepped on the field. Teammates echoed his confidence. Coaches leaned into his vision. There was an energy shift in the air, a seriousness that hadn't been felt in Bria for quite some time. It's easy to be skeptical when you look at the cold, hard numbers. The Browns are coming off a 3-win season. The sportsbooks have them projected for barely 6 wins, and many analysts consider them a lock for a top 5 draft pick in 2026. But Garrett isn't buying any of that noise. He's not building this season on hope, he's building it on standards. "The team's going to go as I go," he said. It was part proclamation, part challenge. He knows what's been said, what's expected, and he simply doesn't care. His eyes are fixed on something bigger. It's not just bravado. Garrett has always been one of the few players in the league with the actual ability to back up bold predictions. His presence alone changes offensive game plans. He commands double and triple teams. He erases entire sides of the field, and yet, despite his heroics, last season proved painfully that one man, no matter how dominant, cannot carry an NFL franchise by himself. Garrett knows this, too. That's why his message wasn't just about personal performance. It was about team-wide elevation. He wants more from everyone. Veterans, rookies, backups, everybody. The margins in the NFL are razor thin. As he pointed out, the difference between a 5-win season and a 10-win playoff berth can be one blown assignment. One missed tackle, 1/4 of football. Garrett is demanding that the Browns start winning in those margins. That's where champions are made. Still, no amount of speeches or mindset shifts can fully erase the reality that the Browns have a mountain to climb. The AFC is stacked. Quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen dominate the headlines and the win columns. Teams like the Ravens and Bengals sit comfortably above Cleveland in most preseason power rankings, but that's precisely what fuels Garrett's belief. He relishes the underdog role. He welcomes the skepticism. Every time someone writes off the Browns, it just adds fuel to his internal fire. He's made it his mission to prove that this franchise isn't cursed or broken or irrelevant. He believes 2025 will be the year Cleveland flips the script, and he's placing that responsibility squarely on his own shoulders. Whether or not that proves wise remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: he's not hiding from the challenge. Behind closed doors, there's a sense that Garrett's return and his renewed commitment has sparked something real. Coaches speak about a different vibe. Teammates talk about a culture shift. There's no guarantee it translates to wins, but it's a start. And sometimes, in the NFL, a spark is all it takes. Confidence can be contagious. When the best player on your roster believes, it becomes easier for others to follow suit. Garrett knows that. That's why he's so vocal now. It's not for show. It's not for headlines. It's to light a fire under a franchise that's been stuck in the mud for far too long. He's tired of waiting, tired of watching other teams raise trophies, and he's especially tired of hearing what the Browns can't do. For Garrett, this season is about proving what they can do and then doing it. The road ahead won't be easy. Injuries, adversity, and external doubt will rear their heads like they always do. But Garrett is embracing it all. That's the sign of a true leader, not just playing well when things are smooth, but digging in when everything feels like it's slipping. He's been through it all with this franchise, the highs, the lows, the chaos. And yet, here he is, recommitting himself to the cause. That alone speaks volumes. Because if a player of Garrett's stature, with every excuse in the world to walk away, chooses to stay and believe, then maybe there's something worth believing in. Maybe, just maybe, this version of the Browns, forged through fire and frustration, can become something different, something tougher, something real. That's the vision Garrett's betting on. And he's doing it with everything he's got. At the end of the day, talk is cheap in the NFL. Garrett knows that as well as anyone. He's not banking on media clips or press conference quotes to win games. He's banking on work, on dedication, on raising the bar for himself and dragging everyone else up with him. That's the only way this dream becomes reality. If the Browns are going to shock the world in 2025, it won't be because they got lucky. It'll be because Garrett demanded it, because he never stopped believing, and because when it came time to choose between quitting and committing, he chose Cleveland. That decision, more than any sack or speech, might be the most powerful thing he's done yet. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. Shockwaves are pulsing through the NFL rumor mill today, and the whispers are growing louder by the hour. Could it really be true? Is Joe FLACCO, the veteran quarterback who breathed life into the Cleveland Browns playoff push, actually on his way out of town? Reports are surfacing, albeit quietly and with a tone of secrecy, that FLACCO has been traded in a backdoor deal that almost no one saw coming. It's not confirmed by the Browns, of course, but multiple insiders have hinted that something major has gone down behind closed doors. If the rumors are true, this would be a massive shakeup, not just for Cleveland, but for the entire AFC. A deal like this suggests the Browns may be pivoting in an entirely new direction, perhaps even reshaping the core of their offense. The big question is, why now? Why FLACCO? And why all the secrecy surrounding what could be a blockbuster move? What makes this potential trade even more jaw-dropping is the timing. Joe FLACCO had just reignited his career with the Browns, taking over late in the season and guiding them with veteran poise when all hope seemed lost. He wasn't just a placeholder, he was the guy. Fans were already dreaming of a full season with FLACCO under center, leading a talented Browns roster into true contender status. So, for the front office to allegedly pull the trigger on a secret trade raises endless questions. Was this premeditated? Or did another team make them an offer they couldn't refuse? And speaking of that other team, no one seems quite sure who the mystery partner in this potential deal is. Could it be a quarterback needy franchise quietly rebuilding, or a contender looking for one final piece to push them over the top? One thing's for sure, if this trade is real, it was done in the shadows. Far from the usual media circus, some insiders believe this move, if confirmed, could be a sign of internal conflict or philosophical divergence in the Browns front office. Maybe there were differing opinions on Flacco's future. Perhaps some saw his late-season success as a spark, while others viewed it as lightning in a bottle unlikely to strike twice. There's even speculation that this secret deal was in the works before the season ended, quietly negotiated while Flacco was still wearing orange and brown. It's the kind of move that would suggest the Browns are looking at the long game, prioritizing younger talent or future draft capital, but again, nothing is official. What we have are breadcrumbs, clues dropped by insiders, and the occasional cryptic social media post. Flacco himself has been silent, which only adds to the intrigue. If he had been traded, wouldn't he have said something by now? Or has he been asked to keep quiet while the dust settles on this unexpected maneuver? The fan reaction has been a mixture of disbelief and fury. Browns Nation, which had just begun to embrace Flacco as a sort of savior figure, is now left feeling blindsided. Social media is ablaze with fans demanding answers, some even calling for changes in the front office if this trade turns out to be true. After years of quarterback instability, Cleveland had finally found someone who brought leadership, experience, and most importantly, results. Losing Flacco, and in such a clandestine fashion, would feel like betrayal to many. This wasn't supposed to happen, not now, not after what he just accomplished. Rumors are swirling that the front office wanted to avoid another quarterback controversy by making this move behind the scenes. If so, the plan may have backfired, because now, instead of clarity, there's only chaos. The silence from Berea has been deafening, and until someone steps forward with answers, the speculation will only grow stronger. Interestingly, some analysts believe this may not be a permanent goodbye. There's a growing theory that the Browns may be playing a long chess game, trading Flacco temporarily with the intention of bringing him back later. It sounds wild, but in the NFL, stranger things have happened. Perhaps the Browns are looking to maneuver around salary cap issues, or maybe they're trying to secure additional draft picks to sweeten a different deal. If Flacco has indeed been traded, it might be with a wink and a nod and understanding that he could return before the season starts. That would explain the secrecy. It might also explain why no one from the Browns has denied the rumor outright. They're letting it breathe, letting the media and the fans spiral while they work the angles in the background. Whether this is genius strategy or front office overreach remains to be seen. But one thing's certain, Joe Flacco's status in Cleveland is now the NFL's most talked about mystery. The ripple effect of this rumored trade could stretch far beyond Cleveland. Across the league, teams are now reevaluating their quarterback situations. If Flacco is truly on the move, he instantly becomes one of the most experienced and playoff-proven QBs available. That alone shifts the dynamics for teams like the Raiders, Vikings, Falcons, or even the Patriots, organizations that could desperately use a steady hand at the helm. But there's another angle to this. What if Flacco was traded not just for picks, but in exchange for another quarterback? Maybe someone younger, someone with untapped potential, someone the Browns see as their long-term answer. If that's the case, then this deal isn't about losing a leader, it's about making a leap. That would be risky, no doubt, but also bold. And in today's NFL, boldness is often the line between mediocrity and greatness. The Browns may be betting their future on that razor's edge. Now let's talk about Joe Flacco himself. For a guy who was practically written off not long ago, this latest chapter, whether true or not, only adds to his remarkable story. Coming back from football exile to lead a playoff push in Cleveland was already a movie script. If he's now been traded again, it could signal one last chance to lead a contender or maybe even mentor the next big thing. Sources close to Flacco say he's still hungry, still feels he has plenty left in the tank, and judging by his performance last season, he may be right. So, if the trade is real, then he's not done, not even close. He could be the missing piece elsewhere, a stabilizing force in a locker room hungry for leadership. Of course, that depends on the landing spot. Will it be a rebuilding team looking for a bridge, or a title-chasing squad in need of a steady backup-turned-hero? Either way, Flacco's journey is far from over. Adding another layer to the drama is the fact that the Browns had been surprisingly quiet this offseason until now. Many expected them to extend Flacco or at least clarify the quarterback pecking order before training camp. Instead, they kept things vague, almost as if they were waiting for something big to fall into place. Maybe this was it all along. Maybe this secretive trade has been the hidden hand shaping their offseason strategy. If so, they've managed to keep it under wraps longer than most front offices could dream, but that kind of secrecy comes with risks. Trust is everything in sports, especially between a franchise and its fan base. If this deal proves real and the Browns don't explain the reasoning soon, they could face serious backlash. Transparency matters even in a business as cutthroat as the NFL. Right now, fans don't feel informed. They feel blindsided, and unless the team opens up, that resentment could fester fast. Then there's Deshaun Watson. His name inevitably enters every Browns quarterback conversation, and this rumor throws his situation back into the spotlight. If FLACCO is gone, then it signals full confidence in Watson's health and ability, or at least a decision to commit to him, for better or worse. But was that the plan all along? Did the Browns use FLACCO as insurance while Watson recovered, only to cast him aside once their starter was ready? Some believe that's exactly what happened. Others think the front office feared another QB controversy if FLACCO outplayed Watson in camp. By trading FLACCO quietly, they remove that headache before it even begins. That might be a sound strategy from a locker room perspective, but it could also blow up spectacularly if Watson struggles again. In that case, the Browns will have let go of a proven leader without a plan B. And that's a gamble few teams can afford to make in today's NFL. As of now, nothing is confirmed. No press conference, no tweet, no statement from the Browns or FLACCO's camp. Just whispers persistent, growing louder, impossible to ignore. And in the NFL, whispers often precede bombshells. This could still prove to be smoke with no fire. A case of the rumor mill spinning out of control during a slow off-season week. Or it could be the first crack in the dam before the floodgates open. Either way, the mystery surrounding Joe Flacco's ALLEGED trade is captivating fans, media, and analysts alike. Everyone's waiting for the shoe to drop. Until then, we'll keep refreshing our feeds, piecing together the clues, and wondering what the future holds for the man who was never supposed to be Cleveland's hero but became one anyway. Whether this story ends with a shocking trade or a triumphant return, one thing's for sure: the legend of Joe Flacco just got another dramatic chapter. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!